In our first story, the Ministry of Health has announced that 2 cases of coronavirus infection, the COVID-19, have been confirmed right here in Ghana. The cases, according to the Minister for Health, Kweku Agyeman, were confirmed on Thursday, March 12, 2020.
Acting Chief Director at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Bedu Sarkodie, who's the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, and the Minister responsible for Health, the Honorable Kweku Agyeman. This evening we have an update on the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'll invite the Honorable Minister to update the nation on where we are currently.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Fellow Ghanaians, good evening. The Minister of Health has confirmed 2 cases of COVID-19. The cases were confirmed on the 12th of March, that's today, 2020, and the first cases to be reported in Ghana. Laboratory results of the 2 confirmed cases were received at the same time from the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. Both individuals returned to Ghana, one from Norway and the other from Turkey. So these are imported cases of COVID-19. Both patients are currently being kept in isolation and are stable. We have initiated processes for contact tracing. I wish to assure Ghanaians that the government of Ghana, together with all health partners, will continue to work assiduously to ensure the situation is contained. We wish to encourage every Ghanaian to take care of their health and that of their families by adhering to the following precautionary measures: regular and thorough washing of hands with soap under running water and use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Avoid shaking of hands. Keep a distance of at least 2 meters from a person with fever, cough, sneezing, and difficulty in breathing. It is advisable to be physically active, drink plenty of water, eat healthy, avoid stress, and have enough sleep. Stay home if you feel unwell with symptoms of fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing, and call the following numbers immediately: 050-949-7700, 055-843-9868. I would like to repeat the numbers: 050-949-7700, 055-843-9868. Thank you. Good evening again.
So we're grateful.
And along other measures, the Ghana Tourism Authority has already directed all operators in the tourism and hospitality industry across Ghana to immediately start screening all guests before giving them access to their facilities. This is one of several measures put in place by the authority to ensure the industry is well protected against the deadly coronavirus. At a meeting with industry players, the Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Kweku Agyeman, said though the sector is reeling from the outbreak, there is the need to ensure operators could go about their business without fear and panic. Ifwa Evans Chinri was at that interaction.
The World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus outbreak a pandemic as Italy tightened its quarantine and the US imposed a ban on flights from Europe. More than 126,000 have been infected globally, according to the WHO. Of this number, over 68,000 have recovered. A number of institutions have put in place precautionary measures against the disease. One of such institutions is the Ghana Tourism Authority. Its Chief Executive Officer, Kweku Agyeman, wants all companies in the tourism and hospitality industry to ensure everyone is very well protected.
We are telling our operators not to be scared, but just to take care. So the tagline is, don't be scared, just take care. And we are asking that at every public area in a establishment, there has to be an open display of the messages, and these are messages that we have printed, and they have to paste out there. One, avoiding handshakes, I mean the various precautionary measures that the Ghana Health Service has advised. Two, we are asking all hotels to ensure that in the hotel rooms, these messages are boldly displayed, and there are sanitizers and other washing equipment that is available for people to wash their hands and avoid the handshakes. Also, in the area of the restaurants and the kitchen, they have to wear the protective gear. That will ensure that at least if even somebody has a symptom that is closer to coronavirus, they are properly monitored, and so we've asked that we get the testing guns, that we call them, to test their temperatures, and people with high temperatures are then isolated and then asked to liaise with the Ghana Health Service on that. We're also looking at general staff health. We know that per the regulations that we have, staff have to have a certain health certification by the various assemblies, and this time we are going to enforce that because they are the frontline people and they have to ensure. And by and large, we also here to keep the industry upbeat, that we are very, very confident in the measures that central government have put in place. We are very confident that thus far we haven't had any incident, and we are very assured of the readiness of the country to deal with the situation as we go forward.
Adnan Yusil is general manager at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel. He mentions some of the challenges they face as an industry.
So since the pandemic disease started to spread all around Europe, we start to receive a lot of cancellations, especially from global institutions, international companies. Actually, we're supposed to have IMF, World Bank meetings, some UNDP meetings, and some United States related meetings as well. They're all suddenly canceled. So we received thousands of room nights cancellations for March, April, and May, which accumulated to actually hundreds of thousands US dollars, which affected us dramatically. So now we are trying to take some precautions. Of course, we are an international company as a Movenpick. We are part of Accor. So we submit a lot of reports on how to reduce costs, how to hold on to our revenue. So now actually we try to minimize our costs.
Inspectors have been deployed to the various industries to ensure operators adhere to rules and regulations.
And the news team also visited some of the facilities to ascertain what the situation was.
We have placed hand sanitizers at the front of the hotel. That's the entrance when you are coming in. The restaurants, we have one also at the reception area, and we have some at the gym. So we are actually...
So there are sanitizers, hand sanitizers all over, in the rooms, everywhere.
Yes, yes.
So let's talk about this. Where are you going to stick these ones?
So this one, we are going to stick some at the security checkpoint for the staff when they are clocking in, so that they can be reading and be aware of what to do when they are on duty. And also we'll place some also over there. Whilst guests are coming in, they can also be reading what they have to do to prevent coronavirus.
You know, we all don't speak English. What about those who speak other languages? How are they going to get to know about this?
We have people at the security checkpoint, and they can educate them. That is, if they get there and they read and they are not able to understand. But then if you look at the signage, you could see that, you know, this is something so easy that everybody could read. There is cross, that is don't do, and this is okay, meaning that you can wash your hands and all that. So the green one...
Without necessarily reading, you can tell. We're at the gym at the Alisa Hotel, and Yvonne is here to tell us what you have to do before you can enter the gym. So before you get into the gym, you have to sanitize.
Sanitizer to sanitize your hands. And then after that, you open the door. This has been cleaned already with
right.
the alcohol.
Okay.
Today going, we will put the stickers there so that you clean as you go with the sanitizers. Okay. Internally also, when you finish cleaning it, because of the safety of our customers, we will also do the alcohol cleaning to make sure that the treadmill is safe for them to use. Yes.
So apart from the treadmills, you're going to do the same with the other machines as well?
We are using alcohol to clean all the machines at the gym So as and when they finish using it, we come back and then do the cleaning for this ones. Because this one, you don't normally sweat like the treadmill. So we do this ones for them.
I think it's a good idea on the part of the GTA, and we've also spoken about the coronavirus and its effect on the hotel business. I think we have also taken up some measures for the hotel and the guests, incoming and in-house as well. Currently, we've taken up a measure that all staff will be given gloves and nose masks. Like you see, I have my glove here. There are two, yeah, and each staff has also been given, sanitizers as well. So we're taking up that measure, but we hope Ghanaians don't witness anything like coronavirus, because it's a pandemic which is currently affecting most countries.
Do you check visitors who come in?
Not really. Currently, we don't screen them, but we have a facility which is Impact Clinic. So if we notice any of their symptoms, we quickly take them there, and it's been catered for.
And to probe further, Maxwell Agbagba joined a public transport and a commune line of various transporters to observe how people were adhering to the education on the virus that has gone out so far.
We didn't, this epidemic, we hear that the epidemic now is in Togo.
Yeah. And other neighboring countries.
Other neighboring countries. But you see, we didn't hear about the media. The media is supposed to talk more, but we can do our effort here. Okay. But let's take it, God forbid, let's take it when somebody have the virus here. What will you do? What we will do? Which advice or which experience we have here? We can't do anything.
You can't do anything?
We can't do anything, we don't know. But we hear that they said we should find sanitizer. Some of people say we should find when you get soap and this thing.
Yeah, you seem helpless, but have you not thought about, maybe putting bowls of water here so that for passengers who would board, the vehicles that are parked here, they'll wash, you insist on proper hand washing before they get onto the vehicles? Is there not a suggestion you are considering or anything?
Oh, that one is good. Now you are advising us. You understand? That's why we are saying that the government or the municipal assembly that control here, or the MP or the assemblyman, supposed to come educate us more, because we are many people here. Now, what will you do? We don't know anything about it.
I'm currently in a vehicle from the Circle Terminal heading to Russia, a place in Dansoman called Russia, and now here in this structure, in this commercial vehicle, popularly known as structure, what I've observed is that there's nothing like personal space. There's no way you can avoid the next person, sitting to you. President Akufo-Addo yesterday, in his address to the nation on COVID-19, advised us to, as much as possible, try and create, some space. We should try and reduce, personal, contacts. In fact, doctors have actually advised that one of the ways to stay away or to be safe from the coronavirus is to avoid crowded places and contacts with people. But here in the Trotro, there's nothing like personal space, I tell you. Even here, as I said here, I try as much as possible to avoid Alanji, but I cannot avoid him.
So the advice I'll give to them is, when you enter into a trust key, you should be careful. Careful in a way that someone who is coughing, someone might be sneezing, you might not know if the person is infected or not, because at that moment it doesn't show, the signs and symptoms doesn't show at that moment. So when you come into contact with someone who is coughing, sneezing, at least I think when you have an handkerchief or something, when you are direct to the person, the best way to do is when you have an handkerchief, you just pick it up. Someone coughing, someone sneezing, so that at least you cover your nose like this, so that when a person is coughing, it will not come into contact with you. And I think the best way to is most of them should carry hand sanitizers along when they are going to work or anything, so that once a while they just drop some and then just rub it on their hands.
Now, just sitting here, the mate just coughed right now, and I don't know whether I should run out of the car or not. Well, what he's saying is that we need to take our prayers seriously. We need to pray against the outbreak of coronavirus here in Ghana, because we do not know how these infections, come about.
Some people, they are just stubborn. They don't follow the rules, because when you tell them to wash their hands or use sanitizer, they think, oh, after all, Ghana germs, African germs are friendly. Yeah. So some people, they just do we just thank God that we are all safe, because some of the things that we do, in case that virus should strike right now, I think it will be very, very bad.
Well, I just want to find out from you, in case there's an outbreak, are you still going to rely on public transport?
Considering how it spreads, it won't be advisable to be joining public transport, because if you look at most of the countries that recorded the highest numbers, their streets are cleared and other things. So it's actually going to be a disturbance, because in Ghana, this is our main means of getting to where we want to get to. And if this deadly disease is such that it can be contacted easily, then I'm not sure we'll be able to join the public transport.
It's not only in Accra that we're monitoring. We'll take you to the Bono East region, where authorities at the Kintampo waterfall currently are putting in place measures capable of sensitizing visitors on key messages on the coronavirus prevention. Anna Sabit had been monitoring the situation.
It's over 100,000 coronavirus cases and more than 3,600 deaths. The coronavirus, which is now known to be COVID-19, is currently a global problem. But the most recent country, as part of the number of countries with confirmed cases of coronavirus, being Togo, Ghana as a country needs to speed up in terms of its awareness creation so far as the coronavirus is concerned. Here at the Kintampo waterfalls, management have decided to paste at vintage points key messages on coronavirus prevention. They're speaking to the management to find out why they've decided to take up this big step towards the coronavirus prevention, and then what they are doing in terms of handling their visitors to create much more awareness on the coronavirus, and then the need to stay safe in relation to the COVID-19 outbreak.
Looking at this place, an ecotourism site, and we have lots of people that visit this attraction site to have fun. And this virus is, when you come into contact with anybody who has it, definitely you also be contaminated. So what management did was that we have a committee, which is the Emergency Preparedness and Response Committee. And then it is made up of the Municipal Health Directorate, which is of Kintampo. So within this committee, the management saw that we need to create awareness to make sure that our visitors or our revelers that visit the site know more about this coronavirus, and also what are the preventive measures? What would they do in order to prevent themselves from getting contact with this virus? So that is why you can see this posted here. It is all around the facility, so that if any tourists go around, he or she will read and understand. And again, when tour guides are taking tourists around, they also tell them about the virus in English and in Chi, because there are some people who also don't understand the English, but also they can understand when you tell them in Chi. So that's
one may say the virus is not in Ghana yet. Why should you see it as a concern to do this?
Okay, so everything, that is why I say we have the comment that is preparedness. We are always prepared and we respond to it. So what are we doing? We are preparing towards this. we need not to wait for the thing to get in Ghana before we start promoting or creating awareness. So that is why Kintampo Waterfalls management has taken it upon themselves to create awareness to tourists for them to know about this disease, although it's in other countries. But we don't want our tourists to be naive about this issue, but then to be abreast with this coronavirus. That is why we promoted it here.
Some of the visitors we spoke with also tells us this is a step in the right direction.
Yes, it's a very nice thing that they are doing. This one will help people that they are not aware of the virus. As those who can read and they come to see it, they will be able to know that there is something that's going on in the world and what to do and what not to do so that they will not get the virus.
I think it's a good step with the notices on the walls, at least. But however, personally, I think they could have been quite bigger, to draw their attention. I think that's the best they can do, because most of the things should be done by the government and then the health facilities. But for them, I think the notices is fine. Making them quite bigger at the gate, at the entrance, it's fine. Yeah.
Positive thing. And what I suggest is that if we can even have health personnel who can even screen, this is very important. Especially the virus is not even in Ghana yet. But those who are coming here, they are foreigners, and then we can't even determine who is having it or not. So it should be screened. Those who are coming foreigners should be screened before allowed in.
Aside this, are there other moves being taken by the management to ensure that in case there is any suspected case, they're able to respond to it swiftly? This is the response from management.
As I said, with this committee, which we have the Municipal Health Directorate, among our committee or in our committee, they are ever ready, because that is why we have this. So if we see anything, right, and within our facility we have a safety health officer also here. So if anything of that nature is detected, we call, because we have our emergency communication numbers that we contact our authorities, so that they will come and then rectify whatever is happening. So everything is in place.
From the Kintampo Waterfalls here in the Bono East region, I am Anas Sabit for Joy News.
Well, that's it for the news. But look, I have to thank my good friend Salifu Combat from Boku for this great smoke. That was a great one as well. And Elo Mashagwa, you said this one was a good one. You live in Vakpo, you teach at the senior high school there, and thank you as well. But in the meantime, we have to get into the newspapers. Myself and Mamavi Osuamboaji today, we've shelved the relationship segment. Look, over the last 6 hours, many of us haven't had some good sleep. We've been thinking, especially if you have medical people around you, you have friends who work in the hospitals, you have people who travel, then you become a bit jittery. But we need to get the information out there. And that's what we're going to do right here on the show for you today. We'll speak to some of the best experts, but also give you the right sort of education. Please make sure that the next 2.5 hours are for you right here on the show. We'll be right back with all these. Yeah, deliberately we decided to give you a snapshot of what the details will be in sports when Benedict Dosu comes in. You saw that player sliding there was Hudson Odoi of Chelsea, but that'll be for later because it's also one of the news surrounding coronavirus. So how are you? And it's not been good over the last 6 hours.
No, not. And I think that it's just the fear, the news that we've recorded 2 cases. It's just certain people to be afraid, and I guess the message is don't panic, just to relax. And then we need more information also from these two, because the press conference by the health minister, the information minister, was on point, but we need, because we are asking a lot more questions now. People are asking, so are these Ghanaians who had traveled from these 2 countries, or are they, so do we have, a Turkish citizen and a Norwegian, so that they are not Ghanaians, but they traveled into Ghana and carried the virus? And how far were the contact tracing, which is really important? Which airlines were they on, and when did they arrive exactly in the country? Because once you give us some information, you have to be ready to give us all of the information. That will be calming nerves. But I guess the news that we've recorded 2 cases in Ghana is getting people, on the edge. People, yeah, exactly. On the edge. And we're beginning to think about the many things that the other countries are doing. But I think we should still know that it's 2 cases that we've recorded.
Yeah.
So
just over the last 2 hours, I've been interacting with some medical people some of them nurses and 2 other doctor friends of mine. And I was asking them prior to this announcement, were they taking the precautions in terms of were they, for those who are at emergencies and then also at OPDs, were they taking the precautions of wearing the PPEs or those things? And they said they were not. Because even though we're spreading information, when somebody has fever, etc., it's almost close to what somebody who has malaria. If you have malaria immediately, you wouldn't know, but of course if you experience the symptoms and you report early, then that would be the good thing. But usually we don't report early. So by the time we go to the hospitals, we're shivering, we're in that fever state, we have headaches, the throat is not good, we have flu or cough, etc., which is very much similar to the situation of some of the symptoms. And that's the concern that these medical people expressed. Well, we don't have to spread panic, but the thing is that once the situation is not good, we also have to talk about it so that the authorities will put in place.
Of course, absolutely. And we'll be heavy on this coronavirus because and other people, Roland, other people have talked about the fact that it was a matter of when. Because it was definitely going to happen. So we knew
I think
somehow,
we all knew that because
we knew somehow
the port of entry had not been restricted or closed. So once we have the throughput of travelers going through all the centers, the Middle East, Europe, we talked about, I talked to a virologist the other day, and we traveled to Turkey to bring in goods. Even though we have restrictions, we still go to the United Arab Emirates. Even though we don't go to China, we still go to Dubai, go and do all these. So once we have all there are people still traveling. I have a relative who has just traveled down from the UK and would be traveling back. And so it was just a matter of course. Yes, and I think now it's here with that.
But the fact also remains, we can't bring everything to a halt because of coronavirus. There must be some form of activity. But, you know, it's just the emergency. But even when you talk about the emergency response and you see countries that are way ahead of us, you know, who have stronger health facilities struggling with it, for instance, Italy, then, well, but of course we can't sit back and say because Italy is going through what they're going through, struggling, containing this virus, we can't do anything about it. So we'll have many conversations on this, and you can also get in touch and send us your messages. How are you feeling following? A lot of people also waking up this morning to the news that we've recorded 2 cases. So if you're just hearing it, what's your reaction to it? How are you protecting yourself? Maybe we should also ask how you're doing it, how you're protecting yourself. Because this morning I'm learning that it's not any kind of hand sanitizer. We say alcohol-based, but it has to be a certain percentage of alcohol for it to be effective. So we'll give you a lot more so you can arm yourself. Let's do the newspapers, the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times. The Finder is what I have. Roland?
And I have the rest.
All right, let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Here we go with what's on the front page today. Accident vehicle imports, accident vehicle import banned. Parliament amends Customs Act 2015. But what's worrying is this one, which you would see shortly on your screen. There are 2 vehicles, and the caption is endangering human lives. So it's a taxi cab with no registration number, loaded with bread, and it will be very familiar when you see the picture on your screen. It's just the bread is just sitting in the cab. If we can bring out the picture very well so people can appreciate it a little close up, not sure how, but Patrick Gomez can make it happen. So it almost looks like the bread has been dumped into the taxi cab, like that, for human consumption. That's what it is. And this is, I was saying that this is familiar because we see this, don't we? I mean, I see, like, sometimes you see that people have laid maybe like a rubber or something like that and put the bread on. Even that is not healthy. But look at this one, just dump the bread in the taxi like that.
And very often you find that now that we have a lot of these manufacturers or the startups doing this business, they have these vans, the retail vans that they have, they park at various vantage points.
Yes.
And
I see many on my stretch.
And the looks are there. So we have to be realistic.
No, but I see also when they open, you know, when they open the vehicle, I see that there's they've arranged, I think they have a either some layers of, I don't know, they've got, I don't know how to describe it, but they have something like a stretcher or something like that that carries the bread. I haven't taken a closer look.
Like a trolley
but it's not,
or something.
Exactly, it's not just dumped in, it's like the way we've
But this
seen
one
the
looks
taxi
like
on the
it's
front
dumped.
page. This one is just dumped, like they just put the thing in the, taxi. So the paper is just highlighting on the unhygienic manner. There's also a tilted, overloaded truck.
Fantastic.
And these were captured on the Enyinim Accra Highway. These are the things that when you see, you ask yourself, the checkpoints that are on these roads, like what's the point if there is a police checkpoint, yet we still have these vehicles pass through the checkpoint? Then what are we doing? Are we just using the torchlight to just do that and just say, you know, like, because if they went through, and they will definitely go through one checkpoint or the other.
No, definitely.
And they just watch them
They always go through.
But this taxi actually doesn't even have a number, no registered number.
What will stop that car, that trailer, from getting to the next destination is not because it's tilted.
Exactly. It's because somebody is enforcing.
It will be something else.
Exactly. It's true. It's true. All right. Let's do this center spread of the paper. Okay. Well, let's do the back page of the paper. Ghana, anchor of security in West Africa, according to the German envoy. Government to distribute 12 million LED bulbs. All right. Let's do the Ghanaian Times, and I'll come to the Finder. And then my last paper will be the Daily Statesman. So to the Ghanaian Times now. Front page of the Times. Stop spreading COVID-19 fake news. That's the Ghana Tourism Authority. They've also stepped up. If you watch the AM News a while ago, then you know they've given some directives. They say they've printed some precautionary measures or steps that tourists and when
education materials.
Yeah, when you enter into these tourism facilities, we're now stepping up. I think after the president's message, after the WHO declared this virus as a pandemic. So it's almost as if we're waiting for it to get to pandemic mode, and then we will begin to, because now we are now beginning to do the things that I personally think we should have done way back, honestly. Because if you go to a facility and it's just signs of what you should do, animations of what you should do, those things should have been there. We shouldn't have waited for it to get to pandemic levels. Now the worry is, how do you get information to everybody else, like right now? You know, if we had started a little back, and of course, you know, I know that as media we've done well. We've done well by spreading the messages, but it's not just
I think the concern is that we have public institutions and the parastatals that needed to head these public education actions, and they haven't.
Especially when the president said we should give information, but such information must be sanctioned by the health ministry. Then
in this day and age.
Yeah, I mean, so it must be info. So it must be on point. It must be in good time. You know, people must not stretch to get the information. It must just be so easy to get it. And if you want it to come from a source that's verified, which in this case is the Ministry of Health, then we shouldn't be knocking on your doors. It should be coming like that. That's why I said that following the press conference last night, a lot of questions are coming up, and they have to be open in answering all these questions so people nerves can be calm, because people are up. Hey, they said coronavirus is in Ghana. Or, you know how that, how that could affect us as well if everybody's just panicking and being afraid. So we don't want to get there. We need more information. So the Ghana Tourism Authority absolutely doing good work, with the directives that they've given to all the facilities. But I think that even before the Tourism Authority says anything, I mean, we're all in Ghana, we're all in this world, we know what's happening. If you're a facility, you don't have to wait for any directive, you also have to take your own steps and do something, because you're dealing with human beings.
Yeah.
All right, also on the front page of the paper, Parliament passes Customs Amendment Bill to prohibit salvage specific vehicles over 10 years. Fuel prices likely to go down next week, according to the Energy Minister. Well, the MPA boss has already given a hint that when the time comes for that adjustment to be done, because of the deregulation, we are likely to see some 15% reduction, which some people say is woefully inadequate. But, no handshake in Parliament. Speaker orders MPs Were you going to say something about the fuel price?
You say I'm Yujanyahi.
You want to be MPA too?
No, it's just that, you know, the economics of it. You're
not going to talk some for us. Then please don't talk.
I'm only being
realistic. I beg, don't talk. I only read the story.
Yeah, I know, right?
So let's stay with that. Okay, let's do the Finder newspaper, front page of the Finder. 365 vehicles, 493 motorbikes for Education Directorate to enhance effective monitoring and supervision. Northern Region Chiefs laud government's innovative initiatives. Government to distribute 12 million LED bulbs worth 200 million Ghana cedis nationwide. ADB to offer more support to agribusiness entrepreneurs, according to their managing director. The last paper is the Daily Statesman for me. Kwapem North NPP delegates protest disqualification of aspirants. Big boost for education. Government procures over 1,000 vehicles, 2,000 motorbikes for education. What I'm reviewing is actually the Daily Statesman.
The Daily Statesman.
For example, for Beck's court for 10 days rests is also another headline. That's all in the Daily Statesman newspaper. Roland will start with the Daily Dispatch.
Yeah. You know my mind. I was thinking we'll do everything COVID.
No, I think the news, because by the time that news conference came, the newspapers missed it.
Yeah, I know. So I wanted us to... But let me do the Daily Guide. Just tell you a Kesri, or have a Kesri look at what the front page of the Daily Guide is. And you have it on your screen soon, but I have a picture of the Vice President here in one of the vehicles. It's because the Ghana Education Service has gotten, among other institutions, 858 vehicles. Well, that's a good one. We have the Ghana Library Authority, a number of institutions as well, and the Vice President was that handing over ceremony was a good one, because these institutions need them. After the Vice President representing government has done that, then we have to talk about maintenance culture. But we also do have a picture. It says that the beautiful Becky clock 69, aging gracefully.
As the First Lady?
Yes.
She's 69?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yesterday was a birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good one.
69?
And there was this surprise video of that I saw on the status of the spokesperson on the economy for the Vice President, Dr. Gideon Boaku, on his status, in which the First Lady just walked me. I don't know whether her home or the office, and you know there was a surprise birthday party or something. So just meeting her, it was beautiful.
Well, belated birthday to Auntie Becky, but it's just the 69 that's getting me to think again. Yeah. Good. I want to look like that when I'm 69.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Keep getting money and you'll be fine.
Is it money, or she just takes care of herself? I mean, it's Roland. You're all about money. Eh? You haven't seen some people with money but who don't look as good. It's not all about money.
Right.
Yeah. Living healthy is not necessarily money.
Right. Right. Okay, so then the next one is... Yes, please. So I've shown you the front page of the Daily Guide. So we have the Daily Dispatch newspaper. We have former security couples assessment. We're talking about former National Security Minister and Coordinator, Mr. Francis Puku. He says, foot soldiers deserve roles in politics. True. Foot soldiers. What does it mean? Foot soldiers. Yeah. You see, after you've won the election, Mamavi, you need the expertise to be able to be placed in good authority. That's the problem I have with the political parties. Yeah, but he said foot soldiers deserve roles in politics. You know, we've had a number of discussions about how you integrate foot soldiers into whether it's national security setup, mainstream government actions and all that. Because
who are the foot soldiers? Are they a bunch of jobless people?
Foot soldiers could be myself, who is educated, somebody who is semi-educated.
Who has a job. So why do we have to give you a role in politics?
Well,
simply because we want power.
Some of them don't have jobs.
Yes.
Because we've structured our politicking in such a way that immediately a government comes to power, the appointees of the former government, who obviously are members of the political party that was in power, become jobless. So they become jobless, working for the party within the next 4-8 years.
So they are also foot soldiers.
They are the foot soldiers, and we have to be realistic about it.
Okay.
Now, those who tend to have the sort of education and could move on to some other sort of roles, then move on and leave those who are not well educated or not educated at all to do the groundwork.
So how about we see
we have educated people who are foot soldiers,
how
but
about
they
we
are okay.
see the whole thing about the foot soldier
Soldierism.
as work? Why don't we see that as work?
Then the parties need to restructure their base.
If you're taking care of your executives, people who have dedicated themselves and doing political work for you as executives, you should begin to think about it and maybe put them on a certain pay structure.
It's a whole debate,
and be a foot soldier. What do you do as a foot soldier? Do you have your work cut out?
Yes.
What exactly do you do? Is it legitimate?
It's a legitimate work.
Okay. Does it progress the party? You know, does it move the
does.
party forward? Then get them, put them on some pay whatever, and pay them every month because they are working for the party, aren't they?
In other democratic dispensations, they are usually volunteer actions.
But even in Ghana, National Fire Service is not. We've recruited people and we're paying them. Elsewhere, people do it as volunteers. Am I right?
Very right.
Yes. So if you're a foot soldier, your work is benefiting the party appreciates it. Instead of getting you another job, that's job that you're doing. I'm just thinking, maybe I'm not as politically educated, but that's what I'm just thinking. They should begin to fix them and pay them, instead of look for other jobs for them. Let's do myjoyonline.com real quick. Let me just give you also some updates of this coronavirus. Also in Africa now, the current really is Ghana and Gabon, because we recorded 2 cases yesterday. Tunisia also has announced 6 more cases of the coronavirus. Algeria closes schools after first virus death. Facebook and Twitter suspend West African troll accounts. So that's on another issue. But in terms of the coronavirus, Ghana and Gabon confirmed their first coronavirus cases. In terms of update, that's the very latest for us in Africa and, of course, in Ghana. myjoyonline.com now. Of course, the 2 cases of the coronavirus that's been confirmed in Ghana. Details there on myjoyonline.com. Okay. What Ghanaians are saying about the 2 confirmed coronavirus cases is also there. John Mohammed's call on Tamale chiefs and pictures. Uganda restricts travel from 16 countries, including UK and US, because of coronavirus. Republic of Ireland to close schools and colleges. Plenty more stories on the coronavirus on myjoyonline.com. On the new register, we did not breach procurement laws. EC response to Imani. Deputy German Ambassador endorses Ghana's security leadership in West Africa. A lot more stories. So you can go to myjoyonline.com and update yourself. Well, yesterday we did the big launch of our election headquarters at the AMA City Hall. We had our colleagues in Kantamanto. Roland Walker was in Tema Station. We'll bring you what he captured. But our colleagues also on Adom and Asempa also were part of this big launch. We want to say thank you for being a part of it. But this is also one of the very latest. Justin Trudeau and wife isolate after she tests positive. Meanwhile, just 8 new cases are reported in China, 3 of them from overseas. So we see the virus is spreading to other parts of the world, but where it all started from in China, the cases are declining, and they're recording very, very few cases in these past couple of days. And, you know, some people have said because of the way China is, I mean, they can get everybody in check because they're not practicing their kind of democracy is not what we all see around necessarily. So you can get everybody, you can whip everybody in line.
Yes, there's a pure socialist communist state. So
so you can see Ghana making the headlines in international news as well because of.
I love the headline. It's almost like it's just a matter of when and of course. So it doesn't really indict, but yeah, we just keep the education ongoing.
Yeah. All right. So about election headquarters, so you know we're ready for the elections. All the conversations yesterday We were very grateful to have very important people pass through. We had the market women there sharing their own expectations, talking about security and corruption. We had the political parties also representing. We had the police also coming through, the Electoral Commission coming through as well. We had civil society, we had CDD, we had IDEC also passing through. So on behalf of the crew, we're grateful to all of you who made time, who spent time with us as we launched our election headquarters. So you know, it is on. We do it better than any other, and you can trust our sources. So all the update with this year's election, beginning with the ballot box next week. Watch out for it. But stay with us. We'll bring you sports. We will talk about how the coronavirus is now practically just putting everything to a stop. Because we know in Arsenal, the Arsenal manager has also tested positive.
The early part of yesterday saw the training grounds and facilities of Chelsea being checked, clean, etc. By the close of the day, it was speculated that Hudson-Odoi was not well, and then subsequently,
it's fake news, isn't it?
No, it's not. That's not fake news.
Okay.
And then subsequently, it was confirmed that it looks like corona sort of. We've had a Manchester City player who is under self-quarantine, Mendy. It's also because he has a household person. I think the sister-in-law or sister, somebody like that, has coronavirus positive. So he has checked himself. In Italy, Dybala was one of the best players, speculated to have been moving to Manchester United during the last transfer window. They have season window full positive. So it puts the whole Juventus team on the quarantine.
Well, we'll bring you plenty more of the headlines in detail on sports. Stay with us.
Hi there, it's a Friday morning here on AM Show. My name is Benedict Osu. Welcome to the sports segment, and of course, a lot to talk about this morning, all got to do with coronavirus, and it continues to hold the headlines in sports. Now, the Premier League is expected to hold an emergency meeting this morning following the number of cases recorded in the last 24 hours. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta and Chelsea's Callum Hudson-Odoi have been tested positive. So far, the competitions that have been affected are, and as you can see on your screen, the latest with what I just mentioned, Mikel Arteta and Callum Hudson-Odoi. So the Premier League to hold emergency fixtures meeting, Hudson-Odoi test positive. Chelsea scored in self-isolation, which Willan mentioned before they sign off for me to come on. Players Championship cancelled. Arsenal game off as Arteta gets virus. City fullback, that's Benjamin Mendy, also self-isolating in the house. Premier League, EFL, SPFL, that's the English Premier League, the English Football League, as well as the Scottish Premier League games to go ahead. That was as at last night, but there's been a new development, so they're going to meet on that today. UK government considering sporting ban 3 Leicester City players, of course, have shown symptoms, and yesterday that was what their manager Brendan Rodgers mentioned. Real Madrid quarantined, so La Liga suspended their game against Manchester City. That's the UEFA Champions League game next week Tuesday, also postponed. And then uncertainty surrounding the IPL. Premier League night in Rotterdam postponed. MLS, Dutch, Portuguese leagues all suspended. All GAA action suspended, as well as the Wales and the USA game cancelled. That was supposed to be an international friendly. The National Basketball Association, as the NBA, suspend season, as well as Sky. So a lot of things going on with regards to this, which I'll also update you. The Czech FA has announced that they have suspended their schedule. So there's not going to be any league games in Czech Republic. Cologne's managing director, they are saying that they won't send their players away for international duty due to the virus. So if you're a player of German side Cologne and your national team have invited you, there is no way you will be allowed to travel to play. And Dutch football authorities also have announced a suspension until March 31. The ATP has also announced a 6-week suspension of the men's tour taking in all events until end of April, and the Miami Open tennis tournament that was scheduled to start later this month also has been cancelled. So a lot of things going on with corona virus, outbreak, and we definitely will update you as and when it comes. So Brighton Arsenal game that has also been postponed due to Mikel Arteta's issue. He's been tested positive for the virus. All right, okay, so away from that, we have to deal with matters here on the local scene. In Kumasi, Asante Kotoko, Elmina Sharks wrapped up match day 14 of the Ghana Premier League at the Accra Stadium. Now, both teams, after creating so many chances, just had to settle for a goalless draw. Here are highlights of the game.
Here is William Opoku-Mensah. He's got Nete behind him. He goes to the left with a cross. Would this be the first goal? Augustino Crack got a head on it. Emmanuel Jemfi. Opoku-Mensah, lovely turn. That was brilliant from Opoku. Benjamin Atta with a drive. Nearly beat Kwame Bar. There's a corner for Elmina Sharks. He's got Bedu to beat. He goes past Moro, goes down in the box. No penalty call. And Wutoma is not interested of his man. Here is Justice play in the Sharks box. Instead of going for the cross, he slowed down. Opoku-Mensah! My goodness! Against the side post for Destino Cram. Unbelievable scenes. Asante Kotoko. How couldn't they? It's a different player. Scored against Bechem United. Had to be subbed off. Yakuba's first touch. He goes for power. Good save from Boa Mate. Son. Lovely stuff from Daniel Kinsel. There's a wonderful through pass. Benjamin Boateng. Wonderful goalkeeping from Kwame Bar. Excellent goalkeeping by the to round up the goalkeeper. Where is the defense? Where is the defense? It's Augustin Savo trying to step up. Meanwhile, Ajman Bedu is playing everybody onside. He loses his footing, but this is where he tries to go past the goalkeeper. But he keeps his eye on the ball. This is what the great goalkeepers always do.
What a save that was, as Kwame Bar pulled that amazing, wonderful save to, ensure Asante Kotoko drew that game with the Elmina Sharks at the Accra Stadium yesterday. So Kotoko assistant coach Johnson Smith explained why they failed to win the game. We'll hear from him, and also hear from Elmina Sharks coach Yao Champon. He was pleased with the result.
The nice game, and these Sharks people prepared, and we also prepared. But football is a game. That is three things. You have to either win, draw, or lose. But I think we will take the draw as it is.
It wasn't an easy game, but we were able to at least have a point. And I think I'm happy with that. We should have won. But like I said, tactically, we were very, very good. The plan that we came with worked. So I'm okay with the results.
So Elmina Sharks coach, that's Yao Champon. You also heard from assistant coach of Asante Kotoko, that's Johnson Smith. So then definitely after the game, we caught up with some fans of Asante Kotoko who were not happy with the result.
Let me be very honest with you. For me, Masekuna, for the day when they picked Masekuna as a coach, I told people that, look, this man, we know him very well. Even the local blaster, Masekuna, if you are not his player, he will never face you. 100 days will not face you. Look at the type of body he's playing right here. Your ball, entry the ball, quickly take it off of the ball, and then take the person. You waited, you played over 90-something minutes. And instead of leaving. What's the problem is that Masekuna knows nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm saying it, nothing.
Yeah, but for me, I want the coach to bench Matienchi for the rest of the season because he's not ready to play for Kotoko. That's my problem.
Every fan, every Ghanaian is a coach. All right, so we'll see how that will go. But Asante Kotoko will get a chance to bounce back to winning ways on match day 15 when they play against the Inter-Allies at the Accra Sports Stadium. That will be one of many matches that will be played on match day 15. Kim Faisal still yet to win a game in this season's Premier League will come up against Accra Hearts of Oak at the Obuasi Lenkley Stadium, and Legon Cities will take on Mediama SC tomorrow at the Accra Sports Stadium. And on Sunday, we'll have Bechem United at the Bechem Park play host to Indiana Stars for the game that will be Great Olympics. Will be in Accra to take on Liberty Professionals with Bekum Chelsea up against Wafa, the Golden City Park. Elmina Sharks back to the Elmina Park to play Dreams FC. 11 Wonders will take on the Busondos, and Karela will be at the Akron Park to play against Ashanti Gold. And on Monday, we'll have Inter-Allies at Asante Kotoko at the Accra Sports Stadium. So away from the Ghana Premier League, there will be a game tomorrow. The Black Maidens are in action. They take on their counterparts from Liberia in a second leg FIFA World Cup qualifier. Remember the first leg, which was played a fortnight ago in Monrovia. Ghana won by 2-0. So the Black Maidens are in a pole position to make the next stage of the qualifiers. I will bring you more on that when you join us at 2 on Sports Today. But we have to look at what happened in the UEFA Europa League. Manchester United went away to play against the Austrian side Lask Links. That game was behind closed doors due to coronavirus. Igalo once again scored. What a goal he scored for United as they dropped their counterpart by 5-0. Highlight of the game for you.
So Benedict, we see how this is affecting the world of football. We put the fixtures for Saturday, which won't happen really.
Well, as of now, we don't know because yesterday the Premier League confirmed in a statement that the league will go on as scheduled. But after the Mikel Arteta case and that of Callum Hudson-Odoi and the Chelsea issue, as well as Benjamin Mendy, and then they came out with another statement that they will have an emergency meeting this morning. So it's at that meeting this morning that we'll know whether the Premier League will go on. But with an Arsenal manager, affected, a Chelsea manager, a Chelsea player also affected. Leicester City yesterday, Brennan Rodgers also talked about 3 players, showing symptoms of the virus. Then I think we'll be right and proper to suspend the league.
What is it about the Premier League? Because they seem to think or want us to believe, at least before this announcement of the emergency meeting, that the Premier League will go on irrespective of what we've seen happening in other leagues.
Aside it being all that they have in England, it gives them a lot in terms of revenue. And that's one thing this morning when I was coming, I was listening to the BBC, and even the stock markets drastically has gone down as low as 10%, right? And if it's affecting everything, how much more football? This is where people get their happiness, they get their money. Clubs, yesterday Manchester United had to refund their fans that bought tickets, plane airfare, and also match tickets, £350 each fan. So just imagine how many, if over 3,000 fans paid £500, you are now refunding 350. That's a loss to the club. You understand? So you look at all these things, and it's got to do with the economic issues, aside the entertainment bit.
But we could also have the Premier League being played at empty stadiums, and just filmed for television, so you can watch from wherever.
So that's what's happening elsewhere. La Liga, they've suspended it. Serie A, some of the matches will be behind closed doors. Other leagues, you go to Germany, will be behind closed doors. In Austria yesterday, we saw the Manchester United game against Lask, which was behind closed doors. But in the English Premier League, it's not just the fans. You're talking about the actors themselves. Now, Mikel Arteta, who is manager of Arsenal, who would you expect to be at the bench of Arsenal? You understand? You are talking of a player at Chelsea, who is an integral member of the Chelsea squad. You are talking about a Leicester City team that 3 of their players have shown symptoms of this virus. You don't expect them to be on the bench of Leicester City. If we're about the public, as we are witnessing elsewhere, then we could have said, okay, then let's go and play behind closed doors. La Liga wanted to do a similar thing, to play behind closed doors, until the Real Madrid case came. The Real Madrid, it wasn't a player of the first team, a player of the basketball team. They share the same facility for training. So, and as long as the player of the basketball team has been affected, then it comes down to the other players of the basketball team, as well as even the junior teams, because they all share the same facility. Where you touch, if I touch, I get a virus.
Yes.
You understand?
And we even know that some of these players also meet fans, and they handshake, they sign autographs.
So I think
they do so many things with the ordinary people.
And you see, behind closed doors in the English Premier League, I don't know if you've been watching some of the games. The first behind closed doors after this incident, started coming up, I watched was the Juventus Inter Milan game. Ordinarily, that would have been a top game. A huge
Playing
game.
in an empty stadium is not fun, actually.
Because
you don't feel any vibe.
Yeah, let me just even finish about the Juventus Inter Milan game. You look at that game, Inter Milan wanting to dethrone Juventus for the title, Juventus, wanting to extend their lead, and they have this game. You look at the what is at stake for both teams, and then you play behind closed doors. No fun, nothing. It's just like a training game. Yeah. If you are used to, if you are used to, you know, watching teams train, that's how it feels like.
Even ordinarily when they train, there are a few fans. There are a few fans,
and this is a competitive game. Yeah. You understand? So you just look at an English Premier League game involving Liverpool, Manchester United with no fans.
Exactly.
Don't even look at Liverpool, Manchester United. Look at the other games. There were going to be some great games this weekend. Yeah. You look at a huge Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
What does this all mean? I mean, if the announcement comes and it says we've postponed, because we've seen others postpone for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, what would it mean? Because people buy tickets in advance.
So what it means is that you get to keep your ticket. That will not go away. It definitely will not go away. The league also will not be truncated. So I think that we have to make this distinction. You know, I've seen people post on Twitter, on other social media platforms, especially the against, you know, the ASU union, the against supporters union. You know, Liverpool, most fans, you know, they don't want Liverpool to win the league, right?
Masa. I'm sure. Where are you coming from?
Oh no.
Okay, just go on.
It's got to do with what is trending and what people are talking about. So, for instance, some say, "Oh, let's suspend the league." And then when we are back, we start all over again. No, it's not.
That won't be possible.
That won't be possible.
That won't be possible. Wherever we end, we have to pick up from there.
Absolutely. So if you are suspending the league this weekend, if they're not going to play this weekend, and or come back in a month's time, we'll still continue where they left off. So it won't happen.
But I think it's taking. I see where the Liverpool thing is coming in. It's taking the shine out of them because.
Yeah, it would have been great because they could have actually won the league this weekend.
But nobody asked them to lose the games that they lost as well. No, then this would have been quicker.
At least it's got to do with Manchester City's game. If Manchester City had played Arsenal in midweek, you know that game was also postponed. If they had played that game in midweek and City had lost, and also their upcoming fixture against Burnley this weekend, if they had lost, Liverpool would have been crowned champions this
So
weekend.
that tells you don't expect somebody to lose for you to win.
Yeah, of course. You have to win your games. But at least they've lost just a game in a season. Yeah.
So for those of us, you know, just before we close this conversation, for those of us in Ghana, when should we be expecting, because we're so passionate about, now we're passionate about our local league, but of course we are also very passionate about the English Premier League. When should we be expecting some concrete answers to all the questions that we're raising?
So yesterday, the Football Association released a statement on this at the back of President Ronaldo's speech, and they talked about their collaboration with the Confederation of African Football. They've also released a statement with respect to the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers and also the CHAN 2021. They said the qualifiers will go on as planned, but most of the European teams, what they are doing now is they don't want to allow their players to travel for international duty. So that's also something we should look at. And I think that CAF will meet again. Yesterday, they released another statement that today and then by Monday, they will come out with a series of statements to update us on what is going to be the next line of action if the qualifiers at the end of the month are going to come on. But here, we just, you know, recorded our first 2 cases. That was last night. So we'll monitor the situation and see if it's something that we can't go on with the league. I'm sure definitely the Football Association will act because they say what you don't have to be at where a lot of people are.
Exactly.
And yesterday at the Accra Stadium, so many people, and you know our touching thing in this country and all that. So I think that we all have to be very careful.
Yeah, it's true.
And as much as we want to enjoy the game.
Something happened yesterday. We had some great personalities come through the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the City Hall. We had reps from the Start Ghana Foundation, the CDD, IDEC, as well as many other people. And we kind of almost forget that we don't shake. So you see that we're shaking, and they say, oh, we don't shake, then we do this. So it will take a while for us to get it.
Even this, we have to stop. Just avoid everything.
Because it's still bodily contact.
Absolutely. So you just avoid everything.
So we will get there. We will get there. We started from somewhere. I haven't touched you today.
No.
No hugging.
I like previously when I come, we'll hug and all that. Now, you know.
Now we're not doing that. So let's all learn in bits. Benedict will be giving us the updates in the world of sport in terms of what has changed. So we're keeping an eye on the Ghana Premier League, any announcement that it will bring in terms of the continent's football. And then we're also keeping an eye on the English Premier League with the announcement whether or not they're going to suspend their league. Plenty more. In the meantime, the figures are still going up. We'll come back and share some with you. And then we'll try and get some answers. These 2 persons that we're told have coronavirus. Who exactly are they? Where did they come from? What kind of airlines were they on? The contact tracing, how exactly are we doing that? Are people given the right information at the points of entry so that you can easily track them? All of those questions we'll try and get some answers to here on the show. So please stay with us.
Here's what you
All right, you're still with us here on the AM show. Joining me is the lead with our help desk, Fred Smith, this Joy News editor, also heads our help desk. He usually has the background and a lot of information on health. Fred, good morning to you.
Good morning.
There are so many questions that we're asking on these two cases that we've recorded. Interesting that the first time we've recorded a case, we recorded two. All we know is what was said in the press conference.
Indeed.
So just take us through what has been said to us again.
What we've been told is that these two people came into Ghana through our airport. We are not told if the case was detected at the airport or not, but our checks have not been able to reveal to us that it was detected there. So I'm assuming they may have gone through the airport and then the case was detected later. If that is the case, we're told that they've been isolated for now and currently under observation. We are not told when this happened, if they came through the airports, when they came, and who the others that they came with are, because the flight would have come with other people. So this morning, there's a lot of work going on at the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health, trying to trace anybody in between, anybody they've come into contact with since the day they've been in Ghana. So the staff at the airport, the taxi or whoever driver took him to their hotel or their home, who they went into a meeting with, the things they've been doing over the period. If it's a long time ago, say 2 weeks ago, they would have come into contact with many people. So all of these people will have to be contacted.
So the critical question of when did they come into the country? When did we realize that they had the virus? Indeed. Did they check themselves into a hospital, or were they picked up when they arrived in Ghana?
Indeed.
That will also help in terms of who to contact, or who they might have come into contact with. Are we likely to get all this information? Because, you know, people are also panicking. You can confirm that there are a lot of people who are waking up to this news this morning that we've recorded two cases.
Yes, I do understand that there's an emergency meeting which is starting this morning, and it will flesh out all the things that people are asking so that they will be able to brief us adequately. For instance, if you want to know when, maybe we'll be able to get that from the Ghana Health Service later on when they do a briefing. For now, we must just take it that two people
so how about the airline? How about the airline? How did they get into Ghana? Was it on airplanes?
Yeah. According to the statement, those people flew into Ghana and I'm assuming they came with an airline that already flies into Ghana. So, and one of the two, we're told, comes from Turkey, and we know there's a direct flight to Turkey, the Turkish Airlines. Turkish comes into Ghana in the evenings, and so we will expect that this person came through our airport in the evening on the day that they came.
So that's still not very clear, right? Because then they may because what we've been told is there's a Turkish
and Norwegian.
So now we don't know if they came directly from their countries, or they came through other
Turkey
places.
or other places.
Exactly.
So we need that information as well, so that whoever may have been in contact.
All right, you're still with us here on the AM show on the Joy News channel. We've been talking about the coronavirus in the aftermath of the two cases that we've recorded here in Ghana. In the last 30 minutes, we're getting a bit of clarification on the two persons who were told entered Ghana who are carrying the virus. So we've picked this from the Graphic website. Its headline, one of the confirmed coronavirus cases is a Ghanaian. This is attributed to the Information Minister, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. And this was the Daily Graphic monitoring him as he spoke on Peace FM this morning. So the story says the Minister of Information, Mr. Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, has revealed that one of the confirmed coronavirus cases in Ghana is a Ghanaian. He said it is a Ghanaian citizen who works in Turkey and returned to Ghana for a visit with the disease. If you go down, it says the other person is a Norwegian citizen. They are both males. Mr. Nkrumah revealed, and they entered Ghana through the Kotoka International Airport. So that's what we have in terms of updates from the Graphic Online, saying that the Information Minister says one of the two, one is Ghanaian, Fred, working in Turkey, who returned to visit and was carrying the disease. So it comes back. These two persons came through from the Kotoka International Airport, but we know we don't just have one entry point, even when you come through Kotoka.
So at Terminal 3, where our international arrivals are received, you would have all the masses using the Terminal 3. But there's also the VVIP, so if the person is a very important person, they will most likely use that place. And we have not been told specifically who these people are. And we have also not been told what measures are in place at the VVIP.
Okay, so you've been to the airport how many times? Have you been to were you at the VVIP? Do we know if the same measures are at the VVIP?
We've never been given access to the VVIP and what measures they have there. It is the general Terminal 3 area where we've been allowed to look at what happens there.
Okay, so questions are being raised, obviously, because the information is also coming that these are very high-profile Ghanaians. So the possibility they may not have come through the general entry point where, you know, people like us would use. If they came through the VVIP, could it be that we missed it at that point? But these are still questions that we're raising on the back of the news that we're getting. So we'll bring you a lot more on that. Fred is the head of our health desk. He is embedded in the show today because of this news, so there will be more information to share. But let's go live now to the Department of Microbiology, the University of Ghana, and Roland Walker is having a conversation with virologist Reverend Professor Kwamina Sego.
To somebody who is a clinician, who is always on ground as well. But the two I have here, and then we'll be joined by a third, just to give ourselves a comprehensive picture as to the do's and don'ts, what we think we're looking at, and as a country, how we need to tackle this head on. And we have somebody who has been a regular on the show, a better part of the discussion on this subject over the last couple of days, and the Reverend Professor Kwamina Sego is right here. He is a virologist, and I have to say good morning to you.
Good morning.
And then also to my right is Professor Alfred Yorson. He is the public health expert. He's a community medical person. And I have to say good morning to you, Prof.
Good morning, Roland.
Okay. So, but let's put all this into better perspective. So I'll start with you because you are the lab person.
But I think I would prefer you start from the community.
Oh, the community. Okay.
From the community into the lab.
Okay. Okay. So we'll do that.
Yes.
Okay. And so let me start with you, Professor Yorson. Now that this is here with us at the community level, in the homes, in the schools, in the gatherings, all of us obsessed with making sure we socialize, etc. What are some of the basic things we need to do?
Okay, thank you, Roland. Yes. Now that the virus is here and we have recorded cases, it is important for all of us to be active and aggressive in protecting ourselves. So the common things that we have always been advocating. First, we must keep personal hygiene in terms of hand washing, keeping your hand clean. We call it hand hygiene. Soap, running water, excellent. We can also have the alcohol hand rub as frequently as possible. And we also avoid handshaking, close contacts with people, and therefore, under these circumstances, mass gatherings should be limited as much as possible. You know, in our cultural settings, it's quite difficult, And even under these circumstances, we are planning funerals, parties where people will come together, and that is where the issues are. We need to educate the public to know that until we get a handle of this and know how it is progressing, we should, as much as possible, suspend some of these gatherings. And at churches, in places where we gather to worship, handshaking, commiserating with people is fine, but we should avoid it as much as possible under these circumstances. In the schools as well, we need to encourage the teachers and equip them with the skill and knowledge to know what to tell the children, how to keep their hands clean and avoid touching surfaces that are potentially contaminated. So it is quite important that we target these areas at the community level. Schools, churches, institutions, prisons, orphanages, all those areas are very important. Our junior secondary schools, primary schools, senior secondary schools, universities, polytechnics, everywhere where students gather, especially in our crowded classrooms and all that. We need to take a serious look at these.
And we are doing this, Professor Sego, because we feel that we need to complement what the normal states public health institutions should be doing. 2 cases confirmed in a normal hypothetical situation, and this one cannot be hypothetical. This is what has transpired. Somebody is on a flight, etc. Just take me through the routines from the destination in country.
Okay, so basically,
what are the likely sources or likelihood of contacts before we even come to the related issues of tracing and all?
maybe my first point is that I think we should be very sincere with ourselves, because especially, for example, if you knew we were on the flight and you came with the flight and you knew that you have come into contact with these people who have been tested positive, it lies on you to decide that I'm calling the health officials, I want to self-isolate myself. So we should be sincere with ourselves. I mean, even if you're a family member, if I know that I've come into contact with someone and they say the person is tested positive, as a responsible person, I should say that, look, this is my family. We need to keep ourselves away from public for a while and observe ourselves. So we should be very sincere with ourselves, because government can do its best. But we, the citizenry, would push what they are doing. Otherwise, then we might as well, because what we do is extremely important. The second thing I want to bring in now is that I have learned, I spoke to Joy FM before I came here, and I've learned that one of the people is a Ghanaian, one of the those who tested positive is a Ghanaian. Yes. So we should remove that myth that Africans cannot be infected. We shouldn't go there. There may be other reasons why we don't have that level of infections here as compared to China, Europe, and other places in America. So we need to be careful. So we should close that myth now, now that we have a Ghanaian who has tested positive in our own country. Okay, so now you have normally what you have called an incubation period. If you are infected by a virus, not only viruses, by any infectious agent, there's a time when from infection to a point where you will not show any symptoms. You look just like any of us sitting here where you're not sick. And sometimes these things you can transmit through, even though you are not showing any signs, somebody can actually pick it up from you, because the virus may be growing in your body, you see. So as the virus grows, maybe it needs to get to a certain level to destroy your respiratory tract to a certain level before you start showing the symptoms. So not having any symptoms doesn't mean you cannot transmit to someone. That's what we call the incubation period. And I think we should also bear in mind that a lot is still, the virus is unfolding and people are still trying to find out how does it really behave. So we should have maximum protection as much as possible. And so that's why they're doing contact tracing. The assumption is that these people sat on the plane. Did they touch anything on the plane? Were their hands somewhere? Were they coughing into the air? And did people inhale when we're coughing? So anything could have happened. So the idea of contact tracing is to make sure that those people are observed over a period of time.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I'm talking about 2 people.
Yes.
2 cases, I'll call them 2 cases. Yes. Before they left their place of origin, wherever they came from, they'll go through certain checks, left their hotel rooms or homes.
Yes.
they take a cab. Those are the things I want you to take me through, the routine.
Okay, I mean, you said it already. So basically,
I have not said
no. So they probably may have even gone to church or to the mosque before coming, and they went to the airport. They went through the processes. They may have gone to it. Probably will buy a ticket online. So probably they bought it online. They paid online. When they picked a cab, or they were living with their family. Okay, their children will go to school or they will go to work. So let's look at the big picture. And then they have now come to Ghana on the flight. They met people. They picked the cab from the airport home, or somebody picked them. That person would meet another person. I mean, you don't want me to go through all this.
Stop there. So now we have a plane, a flight.
Yeah.
Let's say 150 passengers. Let's say 200 passengers. Let's say 100 passengers. What is the possibility, based on your expertise, that contact could be made? And I'm not talking about personal contact, atmospheric contact, if there's anything of the sort. That those individuals in the plane, these numbers could be endangered.
Well, it's very high for me because in the plane people move. And if droplets, you see, you're using the same washroom. So let me even use just the washroom. If I went to the washroom and I was coughing and I was sneezing and I didn't even wipe the surfaces there, which means anybody who's gone to the washroom to touch those surfaces, I'm just using one example, anybody who's touched those surfaces is likely the next thing it goes to his hand. Anything can happen. And that person may be touching different things, even interacting with the air hostesses. So the chances are very high. But of course, it also depends on the level of the nature of infection, how far the infection had progressed when they were on the flight. So there are several factors that would determine the possibility of somebody getting infected. But we should always remember that depending on the amount of the virus you come into, and I hesitate to say even just an infectious agent, it's not just you coming into contact. The amount you come into contact with is also important. So the severity of your disease, whether you remain without symptoms, may be determined by several factors, including your own self, the ability of your immune system to be able to fight the virus. So there are several things. It's not just one thing that determines your outcome.
That's why you're the virologist. Yeah. We'll come back to you on the subject. But you being a community health expert from the airport, I mean, we all have been to Terminal 3. You look at the contacts, etc., and we're told that these were determined at the airport. What's the likelihood that a lot of people could have been contacted or could have interacted with these cases within the precinct of the airport and beyond?
Yes. Currently, some important measures are being put in place at the airport to screen people. And the people working, immigration officers, custom officers, have been educated on how to keep a little distance between them and passengers coming, and using non-contact thermal measurement for measuring thermometer. So as much as possible, we try to reduce the contact with suspected persons, because you will only determine it when you have tested them. So that interaction with them, we try to minimize the contact, close contact with passengers as much as possible. So we are hopeful and trusting that if they went through the lay-down procedures and the precautions that they've been taught, then the risk is not very high. We can't say it doesn't exist, but we can say potentially the risk may not be as high for those who are engaged in interacting, checking the passengers, taking their information and all that. They've been trained. Is the, as he said, other members of the community getting into a taxi, getting into a trotro, whatever means that they make to get to their homes, and even getting home and interacting with the people at home. So it is important, if we are able to determine and get these cases at the airport, then immediately we trigger the actions that have been put in place so it doesn't get outside the airport, because that's where it becomes challenging, when it gets into the open community and people really don't know who is carrying what.
So let's educate people. I mean, seriously. We've confirmed too And if we confirm 2, it means that they had enough viral load, or I'll ask the virologist very soon, to be confirmed. Is that the case?
Yes.
Yes. So the others on the plane, theirs is now building up.
Well, doesn't mean infected.
Infected. As Professor Sego said, it doesn't mean it's how much contact you have, how much load was there you are exposed to, and all that. So it is quite pretty difficult. That's why we say we need to contact trace and quarantine them. We cannot say that so long as, or as long as you've come into contact with an infected person, you are likely to get the condition. No, that is not, but it is, the risk is higher for you than somebody who hasn't come into contact with anybody at all. So the point is that you need to be quarantined. You need to be observed. We prevent all activities for you interacting with others until such a time that we are sure that you are not likely to have gotten the infection.
If we have to count back, at what point in time can a case said to be confirmed? That would it mean that maybe 5-10 days ago or before that person had gotten into contact, or a day before, and so at a point in time we can have a confirmation?
Okay, let me put it. So you see, when they test and they detect a signal that the virus is present, then you are confirmed. But these are people who are normally sick and have the case definition that we have. Okay. But you can also take a sample from somebody who probably is not sick and get confirmed that the person has. They're healthy carriers at that stage, and they can also spread it. So it's not just for those who are sick. Okay. So, but because we have a case definition, we are testing. The testing is focused more on those who are sick.
For other viruses or viral infections, you need to have a certain load for you to get confirmed. Wait, I understand. Yes. I understand. So I know this one is still under study. Is it possible somebody may have gotten into contact with a case, and because of the immune system of the person, the load is so low, you will do a test or go through the normal processes or guidelines. So the person is out there in the community, has not tested from the airports through the other routines, and it would take some days for it to, is incubate, you talk?
Okay, I think what you're trying to find out is how efficient is the test.
When does, from the...
So you're talking about load. Every test you perform, okay, normally has a range where it's most efficient. Okay, and I can't tell you now because I haven't seen the range. So you're saying that it's likely that when you have this amount of virus within this range, if you test, you definitely pick it. Okay, there's always a range which may be too low.
So is it possible somebody is below the range, and so they've gone through the protocols and nothing?
From the virology standpoint of view, my opinion is that because these people are sick, if it is being caused by coronavirus, it's very unlikely that you will test and not find it.
What about somebody healthy?
Well, somebody healthy, it may vary. It may depend on the person, where, at what time the person picked it up. But you also have to remember that the fact that a person has been infected, okay, when the person is infected, there's always a phase where you want to, because the virus has to establish the infection. Okay, so yes, I'm not too sure of the sensitivity, how sensitive the test is, but I'm certain that once the virus is there, the test they are using is able to amplify the genome. In simple terms, you know, every virus has something within it that determines its information, that's its structure, okay? Just like...
in other words, you are saying that...
It's important for the public to know this. You look like your father or your mother?
My father.
Okay, your father. Okay, good. So if you look like your father, you collected some information from your father. When the fusion of the sperm and the egg came, your father's information, part of it was dominant to that which determined what your mother also contributed, right? That information that determines what you look like Viruses also have that kind of information that determines how the virus behaves and what the virus looks like. Okay, so depending on how much is there, how many copies of the virus, numbers of the virus are there, when you extract it, that's what you want to detect. The test is able to make artificial copies of what is there so that it becomes high enough for you to determine that it is present or absent.
In my lay language, it's able to drill down to get the minutest.
It's able to
micro.
It's able to, you just like a radio amplifier. What does an amplifier do? It raises the volume. Yeah, so that's all the test does. Even if you have a few copies of that virus there, it may blow it up so that you see that, oh, this was there, but now I've amplified it so you can see it properly.
After you've amplified, could there be some that is undetectable?
I don't know why you're interested in the undetectable.
No, because we have a lot of people who may not.
So let me put it this way. So that is why we should emphasize on the preventive measures. So assuming that some people are even undetectable, okay, and are walking around because they don't have symptoms, okay. But the fact that you don't have symptoms doesn't mean it's undetectable, though. So there's a complete picture. But let's all work in such a way that we can assume that everywhere I go, the virus is there. So I need to protect myself.
Community level. Now, the Professor Sego is saying people should be self-aware, self-quarantine and all that. We have families, and then we have workers at the front line of health. What should we be expecting of them?
All right. So, as much as possible, all health facilities have been engaged and are training their frontline workers. For example, we are in Korle Bu, and then we have trained all those who work at the entry point and almost all the people who come into contact with people getting into the hospital for the first time. We have also limited access. So it's not open and you can't go through everywhere. We are getting designated places where people coming in will have to go and checks will be done as much as possible. We have also trained the workers at these areas to know what distances to keep between them and patients, what protective gear they need to wear. And once we take a history, we interact with you, even before touching you as a patient, and we suspect that you meet certain indications that you are likely to have the condition, then we trigger the processes. We will quarantine you, we remove you quickly. We have what we call holding bays. You'll be kept at the holding bay, and then a test will be done. And then if it comes as negative, if it's positive, then you'll be taken to the national treatment centers or isolation centers. So as much as possible, and I believe Ghana Health Service is doing the same for all district facilities, polyclinics and all that, so that the health workers at the front line are educated, are skilled enough to protect themselves and also protect other patients.
If I look at the communities in which I've lived and the ones that subsequently I've interacted with, people, because of cost issues, don't sometimes go to hospitals, even the public hospital. They first go to a pharmacy to perform medical treatment for them. Then they go to a smaller clinic close by before then they go to the public facility. Which ones are you talking about? All these things you've said.
Good. That's why the current mode of education and is going on is that when you suspect any of the symptoms, cough, fever, difficulty in breathing, headache, and all that, we have given some numbers to call. And Ghana Health Service has put it out there. And if anything at all, you can also call the national ambulance number 112 or 193. These people have also been trained. They know what to do. They will tell you what to do. So we are encouraging the public to use these avenues. Don't walk straight into a health facility, into a chemical shop, into a herbal center. No, try and call for the expert to give you the advice. They will tell you, you don't need to come to the facility, stay at home, do A, B, C, and D. So we want to encourage the public to use these numbers and lines as much as possible. Don't, we call it translocate yourself. We are even avoiding the use of transportation. Translocate yourself to the health facility, because in doing so, as you said, you may take a trotro, you may take a taxi, you may take an Uber. The Uber drops you, picks another person, and that's where the challenge is. So we are encouraging people, once you have the symptom, it may not. The fact that coronavirus or COVID-19 is around doesn't mean the normal common colds that we have will not exist. So people will come down with common cold, people will be coughing, people will have all these symptoms. It doesn't necessarily mean it is coronavirus. That's why we say you call, get the advice. The people will tell you exactly what to do. If you need to get or be transported or translocated to a health facility, they will give you the appropriate advice. So we want to encourage the public to use these avenues that are there. What you said is perfectly right. Our health-seeking behaviors, we know the challenges with it. But we are encouraging people not to get into the facility as the first option. Try to call, get an advice as to what to do, and then you take it from there.
We're educating, no?
Yes.
Are you saying if somebody has cold, cough, slight fever, headache, which is symptomatic of the normal tropical diseases we have, you should call?
And you are worried, and ordinarily you want to go to the pharmacy shop or the health center to go and access service. That's why we're saying it is prudent that in that case you call. It is less expensive for all of us, rather than we not knowing and you have it and you come into contact with so many people before you are seen by the health officials. So you call, let's know that you are coming with A, B, and C, and we are already suspicious. So when we come, whatever measures that need to be taken will be taken for you, and then you'll be advised appropriately. Sometimes you may not even need to come to the facility at all, based on the advice that you'll be provided when you call the hotlines that have been provided. So as much as possible, we are encouraging the public not to walk straight into health facilities as the first point of action to be taken. Use the numbers. There may be challenges. Use the numbers, call National Ambulance, describe your symptoms and all that, and they will offer you the necessary support that you need.
Professor Sego, how far should the normal clinics, the pharmacies, etc. go in getting to the best point of contact to get to ascertain whether what they are seeing is or is not?
But I think that I want to emphasize what Prof. Austin said. You see, if you feel that you're sick and you're walking through people, maybe you're not going with your own car, you're going to get into contact with many people, and we were talking about contact tracing. So the fact is, assuming I picked a taxi, I was coughing and sneezing into the taxi. Who is going to find that taxi driver for me? I probably don't even know his taxi number. And even if it turns out that I'm positive, I can't remember that I actually even contacted that taxi driver. So it is prudent to call. They have given us numbers. In fact, just this morning, I've seen the numbers revised. Let us use the structures. You see, we need to help government to be able to be successful. Let us use those numbers. You suspect, you've come into contact with many people. I was speaking to my nephew this morning. He said, oh, he met people who had come from this country, so upon this case, he's fretting. I mean, we should use what is available to us. Let us call those numbers. And the underlying thing is that we should be sincere with ourselves and with the health facility. There's a structure for practice of medicine. We know that the first point of call. I mean, I'm not a pharmacist, but I know they discourage self-medication. Okay, pharmacy shops are allowed to work to a certain point, and then the clinics or the health sectors, the health institutions will take over. I think that it's important that in this era, when you are having any of these symptoms, or especially if you know you've had contact with somebody from any of the countries, it is prudent for you to call and say, look, this is what I'm experiencing, what should I do? I think it's fairly simple.
This morning, we had interactions, and there are fears that because of the nature of our contacts, church, funerals, trotro, what's your advice?
That's why we've started the education, and I'm hoping that the TV stations, right now a lot of information is out there. I think there's a lot of talking that has been done. So we've started this education. I think we should intensify it. The fact is, if that's trotro is your only means of transport, you can't say you won't go. Okay? So let's do practical things. After work, you can even have a bath. Assuming you've even come into contact with this, where you wash your hands, you have a bath. If there's anything lying anywhere on your face, you think you wash it off. So let's do practical things to minimize the possible spread. And that's why for me, the knowledge of spread is very important. You know, our hands are key. Anybody attached this? I don't know who has sat here, but I don't know who left here, whether the person was coughing or whether the person was running a temperature, but I've come to hold it. Now, I have this small bottle of sanitizer. Now, when I finish anything, I sanitize my hand. When I get back to my office, I wash my hands. Let's do practical things. When you go out into the shop,
All right, so that's a lot of information on what to look out for, what to do because of this coronavirus. We'll continue the education, but that's Roland Walker live from the microbiology department of the University of Ghana Medical School, interacting with virologist Reverend Professor Kwame Nasego and Professor Alfred Yorsing. We hope that we've given you a lot of information to arm yourself. That's the whole idea. Together we can face and conquer this virus that's wreaking havoc in the entire world. We will talk about the National Science and Maths Quiz. It's got into the championship stage, but this is something we haven't experienced before because we're still at the regionals. We'll come back and let you know a lot of things that you perhaps haven't discovered yet with the National Science and Maths Quiz. Stay with us. Okay, so we're talking about the National Science and Maths Quiz. Joining me in studio is Nanekia Kumasari, who's Managing Director of Prime Time, organizers of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Cyril Nai is Head of Marketing and Communication with ABSA Bank Ghana. Welcome on board to the National Science and Maths Quiz.
Thank
You're
you.
the new kid of the block.
Yes, and we are very excited to be on board. Yeah.
Great. So Nanekia, there's something new because this year you have the Regional Qualifiers Championship.
Yes, so we have the regional qualifiers, which is what we've been doing all these years, since 2014, where we go to the regions and then the schools show up and ballot for their slots, then they come and compete. And when you win your contest, you are coming to Accra, and then it ends
for the
there.
Nationals.
For the nationals, yes, and it ends there. Last year, we piloted a regional championship because the schools were asking for it. And we did it in Central and Greater Accra. That part is not part of the GES sponsorship of the program. It was something that we decided to try to find sponsorship for, to help the schools, the seeded schools especially, get a taste of the competition before they come to Accra. It also whips up more enthusiasm. You know, there are local rivalries, and sometimes that you're not aware of. Sometimes when you watch a contest, for example, when we just finished the regional qualifiers and we were in Brong-Ahafo, and the last contest, well, we were in the Bono East and the Ahafo regions. So the last contest for Bono East was between St. James and Sunyani Secondary and then two other schools. The two other schools didn't really matter in the contest as far as the St. James and Sussex people were concerned. It was a straight fight between the two. And you should have seen the jubilation when Sussex won. They had a brass band. That day they were going on midterm, but they still had their brass band playing and singing. And
yeah, it's all about the
right? Yeah, so the local rivalries are there also, and all of this adds excitement. And we are lucky to have ABSA on board this year to not only add on to the qualifiers, but also sponsor the championship, the regional championship. So it's a gradual thing because of the timing.
So where are we now in the competition?
So today we are starting the Eastern Regional Championship. We've already done the qualifiers. So those who qualified and the seeded schools are coming together in this contest to find the regional champion. We've already done that for Central Region, and then on Wednesday we did that for Greater Accra. So Central Regional Champion is Wesley Girls High School, and Greater Accra champion is Presec.
They're back.
So
welcome back. All right, but let me ask Cyril why APSA decided to join the NSMQ, particularly this year.
Okay, so as you are aware, we just started an incredible new journey, and that we are really excited about. But there's one thing that still stays with us. Like as a bank, we are still cognizant of our role of connecting people's dreams and aspirations to financial resources and opportunities, so we can make their possibilities come true. And we are also a forward-looking, digitally led bank. And you know, in digitization, you need a lot of tech support. And the way the world is even moving, we're looking at our human resource development and the skill sets that we need for the future generation. And science and maths plays a very key role in that. So our support is just in tandem with that, to help Ghana actually prepare for the future and to, give these young guys and students who are so passionate, some more encouragement and support them to, have the right skill sets and become the right leaders, future leaders that we need for our country.
Yeah. So you followed the train as it went to the regions?
Yeah, so we were a little bit late in joining, but yes, we were on the Greater Accra train, and we are moving with them this week as they move to Eastern, Ashanti, and Volta, and then to the Bono region as well. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So what exactly is going to happen on the ground?
Yes, so we start the Eastern Regional Championship today. It's today and tomorrow.
Port Jones is in there?
Yes, St. Peter's and Ofuripini and all of those schools in Eastern Region, yes. And then on Monday, from Monday to Wednesday, we do the Ashanti Championship.
Okay.
And then Wednesday and Thursday, we go to Volta. So the championship finals in Ashanti will be Wednesday.
Okay.
And then the finals in Volta will be Thursday.
Okay.
Then Friday, we go to Bono East to do but in Bono, excuse me, in the Bono side and then the Volta side, it's a zonal, because now there's Bono East, then there's Bono region, and then there's Ahafo. So the three come together to form a zone. And then Volta and Oti also come together to form a zone.
So those two places will be the zonal
championship.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then what does it mean to the nationals when you have the regional champions? What does it add to the national competition, their places?
Well, all of those who will be taking part will be coming to Accra to compete. But it does something for their confidence when they do well. And it helps them kind of gauge how well they are going to do as against other schools in their region and even outside. Because schools from outside the regions come to see what is happening in that region. So on Wednesday, we had some scouts from Ashanti and Central region at the championship. And because because we do the live stream, we also have people watching from the regions.
Yeah.
So people are really following.
Nice, great.
Very keen interest.
So in wrapping up, what are your expectations going forward?
So, so this actually, we've come on board for a very long period, and we are looking at supporting this even bigger in the years come by. We want to help grow the right.
You brought a lot of cash. So thank you for bringing it.
Yeah. So we want to get it more exciting, get more schools interested in. And just at the Accra regionals, for example, I was observing something, and I think there are areas that we can collaborate more. For example, for the young ladies, I realized some of them seemed a little bit timid, whilst the guys were very aggressive and right on spot. So we'll be looking at several options. We have a Women Network Forum that we can leverage for them to give them some kind of mentorship on how to be more assertive. So there's a lot more that we'll be bringing on board.
Great. So more to come in the coming period. Okay, so we have to end the conversation here. What would you like to say in closing?
Oh, I would like to say, again, a very big thank you to the Ghana Education Service for all the support that they give us. Thank you to ABSA. ABSA is really pushing for us, and we are really grateful to them for coming on board. Thank you to Dano Milk also for supporting, and we want to encourage others who are also thinking about sponsoring to come forward.
Nice.
Thank you to Joy News and Joy FM, to Multimedia.
We're not going anywhere, we are here.
Yes.
So
you've been with us through all the regions.
Yes.
And you are going to go back with us as we do the championship.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to Mauli, who does the packaging, so we enjoy the National Science and Maths quiz. Nanika, thank you. We'll be seeing a lot more of you as we're getting closer. As for the local champions, that's fine, but we're waiting for them. We're waiting for them here. So thank you for being on the show. And thank you. Stay with us. Becky brings us some show business. That's the last thing we do before we say goodbye to you. So stay with us. Hello there, good morning. Let's settle for some showbiz here on the AM show. Now, High Life musician Kwame Eugene has announced he is set for his African tour in May. The musician said his team has and will continue to be extremely careful in choosing countries amid the fast spread of the coronavirus. He, however, said they will not hesitate to cancel the tour should the spread of the virus get out of hand.
We are trying to put together an African tour where we'll visit all these places one by one. So yeah, we prepared for this thing, and the time is now, and believe we are on a move to go make exploits. Yeah.
Togo has registered the corona pandemic case. Are you not worried about this?
Like we said earlier on in our press conference, that we will be advised with regards to places to go. If it is insane that we don't even have to go, we can stop it. I mean, we can't go and imprison ourselves in some trouble when we know, all because we want to go and play a show and make noise over there. Yeah. So we've been advised with regards to the places we should go. So if by May it is still insane that we don't have to go, we'll pull off. But if it's okay, of course we'll continue with our tour.
Well, there's more on this particular story in our subsequent bulletins. The coronavirus is, I know, slowing things
people
down.
Have planned ahead, but it looks suddenly like you have to look back on what you have planned. So we know it's wreaking havoc in the world of sports, but it's touching entertainment as well.
Yes.
Plenty more stories on myjoyonline.com, but we will leave you with the tips. Make sure you're constantly washing your hands with soap and running water. Grab a hand sanitizer. Alcohol-based, but the alcohol must be 70% and above.
And don't touch your face with your hands.
All right, so take care. We will see you, God willing. Enjoy the weekend and spread the message in terms of how we can all protect ourselves from the coronavirus. We'll have plenty of answers with the cases that we've recorded later on News Desk here on Joy News. Enjoy the rest of the day.